Hi everybody, welcome to That's Football. Gareth Southgate must drop Harry Kane, but we all know he won't. You know, Napoleon Bonaparte said, I'd rather have lucky generals than good ones. And what he meant by that is, lucky generals win battles. Good ones don't always do it. And Gareth Southgate has absolutely had his fair share of luck in Euro 2024 and in other tournaments. The run that we had to the final when we hosted the tournament in the last Euros at Wembley, the run to the semi-final in the World Cup, and the run to the semi-final this time. We've also been ridiculously lucky with wonder goals from Bellingham and wonder goals from Saka. But how long is that luck going to last? And I will sit here and say, England could win this tournament. I hope they do. But if the luck runs out, you'll be left with the reality. And the reality is, we've got a goalkeeper kicking the ball like he's playing in the 80s, 50 yards every time and doing a fist pump. That's coming from the coach. He won't get a job in the Premier League doing that. And he's picking Harry Kane, who everybody knows in England is playing dreadfully for England. Now, Gary Neville has said he won't drop him. You know, he's a leader. He's one of the best players England have ever had. Gareth won't drop him. But what happened to Portugal? They wouldn't sub Ronaldo. They wouldn't drop Ronaldo, and they're out of the Euros. Would you rather be in the Euros or out the Euros because you hold up a player as being more important than the actual team and nation? And he's not going to drop Harry Kane, but he bloody well should do. I think throughout this tournament, he's been absolutely rubbish. And I want to talk about what Bielsa said as well after the game for Uruguay yesterday. One of the biggest comments in football that needs to explode amongst people who care about football, which is you. But talking about England, I look at Ivan Toney, I knew he'd score that penalty. I look at Ollie Watkins, he's in the form of his life. These two players offer something very, very different. Mobility, strength and form. Harry Kane offers experience and I've played the game, but he's not playing well. I do not understand international football. I find it massively frustrating until I figured out that basically international management is the jobs club managers don't want. Ambitious club managers are in, they're in club football. International football is where people go who can't get a job. There are exceptions to that. Nagelsmann at Germany, Bielsa obviously at Uruguay, but the vast majority, Martinez is a no-hoper. I think Deschamps has been successful because of the players he's got. The football and tactics he picks is terrible. And we've seen that with Southgate as well. Common sense doesn't seem to prevail. England are in a semi-final of the Euros. What would you do? We can talk about Trent and why he's not playing. And, it is baffling. Trent was the guy who got us through. Toney got us through. Cole Palmer got us through. How many of them will actually start on Wednesday? Probably none. Because in club football, Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, they're going to start Toney on Wednesday. They're going to find a place for Palmer on Wednesday. They're certainly going to start Trent. But Southgate's going to focus on mates rates. He's going to focus on nepotism. And that is basically the world of the FA, Gareth Southgate and that England team. That's why all these players love playing for England, because it's almost like a cult. If you're in the club, it's the secret handshake and you're all right. Doesn't matter if you're not playing for your club, you'll get called up, Calvin. Doesn't matter if you're not playing for your club, you'll get called up, Jordan. Doesn't matter if Toney and Watkins are better than you, Harry. You're in the club. And that might be enough for England to find a way to win this tournament. But how's about being surer? How's about doing something really novel like club managers do and picking your best players and kicking people up the arse and making them know that... it's amazing to me that for England, you can play up front when you're not playing well and everybody knows you're not playing well. And yet, if he was playing for Bayern Munich, he'd be on the bench. If he was playing for Man City, he'd be on the bench. If he was playing for Real Madrid, he'd be on the bench. But play for your country in a major tournament, it's fine. It's not that important. You just keep trying your best. And for everybody who says, well, he scored the goal against Slovakia. Mate, Toney scores that goal. Watkins scores that goal. I score that goal. It's right place, right time. And people can say, well, it's not. Harry Kane's positional sense is brilliant. What? From a corner, he stood on the 6-yard box centrally and the ball lands on his head. I can't buy into that nonsense that if Harry Kane wasn't on the pitch against Slovakia, we wouldn't have gone through. Come on. So we're keeping him on for 120 minutes to score a tap-in. And you're telling me Watkins and Toney wouldn't do that? And what about we might not have been in extra time if we'd had a striker that can get in behind and run the channel and stretch their defence? Like, Harry Kane, at times at the moment, and I'll say it, I'm not anti-Harry Kane, he's world class. He's just not fit, or something's not right. He's not in form, he's not fit, he shouldn't be starting for England. You take Harry Kane out of that team, and you put Ivan Toney up front, or you put Ollie Watkins up front against the Netherlands, it's a whole different game. A whole different game. You're going to stretch Van Dijk, you're going to stretch De Vrij, you're going to push that defensive line back, you're going to create the space for Bellingham and Foden. But with Harry Kane there, you know, and Neville's right, he's been dropping in for years, so anybody who's going on about Harry Kane dropping back too much, he's always done it. That's what he does. That's why he gets goals and assists. He was doing it at Spurs, he does it at Bayern. But it's a problem. I was watching him against the Swiss. He was at centre-back. The amount of times he was behind Bellingham and Foden, and people say he's dropping in so that they can make runs in behind. Oh yeah, because Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham are well known for sprinting in behind. And also, did you notice the Swiss defenders don't follow Harry Kane? So he's not pulling centre-backs out of position. It's easy to play against Kane, and that's why we're not scoring many goals. In 2 games in 90 minutes, our last 2 games in 90 minutes, we've created 2 shots on target in 2 games. It's abysmal with the talent that we've got. I'm telling you now, if you could take Bellingham and Foden and let them speak freely and say, would you rather have Toney and Watkins in front of you or Kane? They would say Watkins, Toney, because they're not going to come into my space and they're going to make runs that are going to make me look good. Whereas Harry Kane is just going to keep dropping in. We can win this Euros. But it's absolutely nailed on that Harry Kane needs dropping. And you can't just, you know, I was listening to what Neville said. That's not, Gary, that's not right. And you know it's not right. And I know, Neville didn't say whether he'd drop him or not. He said Southgate won't drop him. But we should be saying he should. This is the semi-finals of the Euros. Neville's never seen England win anything in his lifetime, and he's touching 50. I've never seen any England win anything in my life, and I'm in my 40s. You know, we should be winning this tournament. Look at the squad. And you're telling me that we might not win it because the guy in charge is just going to pick his mates. Like, we should be managing this team without emotion and with intelligence. Ivan Toney's done enough in the last 2 games to start that game, and Kane's done enough in the last 2 games to start from the bench. It's not that deep. And yet, everybody on the mainstream is just going, yeah, he's not going to do it. We won't talk about it because he's not going to do it. That's your bloody job. That's your bloody job, man. Your job on mainstream media with millions watching is to actually have the conversation. Harry Kane shouldn't be starting. Ivan Toney should. You can't just go, well, Gareth won't do it. You know, I might get an interview out the overlap. No, do your bloody job. Like, say, this is a semi-final of the Euros. And we're saying, well, he won't drop Kane. Like, if it was Manchester United, you'd have something to say. If Man United was starting and really out of form Højlund and Xerxes was ready to play if he was there, they'd be going mad, he can't play. People do it with Rashford all the time. Rashford can't start the final, he's been rubbish. You can't pick on reputation. Absolutely correct. But when it's England, oh, we can't do it because it's Sir Harry Kane. You know, Harry Kane can't be dropped. He should be dropped. And guess what? If you drop him, and for 60 minutes, Toney doesn't do that well, and you bring Harry Kane on for the last half an hour, I guarantee you'll get a better Harry Kane. It ain't bloody rocket science, but nobody wants to have the conversation. And I said this yesterday. All I'm bothered about, selfishly, is England winning the tournament for me. I don't care about what Gareth Southgate does if he wins it. If he gets a knighthood, well done. I don't care if one of the players want to go, and all to you, all the doubters, have that. I won't be listening. Soon as the final whistle goes and we've lifted the trophy, I'm having a party. You know, get the hot tub, get the fountains out. We're having a party. I don't care. Southgate can go and do his coach. I won't watch it. I, as an English person, will watch England win a tournament for the first time in my life. It's ridiculously selfish. So I will moan about the team, and I will moan about the luck, and I will moan about the mistake, because we have an opportunity here, and the only way we're not going to win it is if Southgate does what he normally does and pick his mates. I'm not interested in nepotism at this point. I want to put the best team on the pitch and win the game. And I'm telling you now, Cole Palmer should be starting. Kane should be dropped. I'd find a way for Trent as well. And Mainu shouldn't be the first sub just because he's a kid. Pick your best players, put them on the pitch. It's funny how Jude Bellingham can't play against Declan Rice when we're starting a game, but suddenly when you need another attacker on, Jude Bellingham can go and play next to Rice. All tournament we've been told you can't play Rice next to Bellingham, even though that's what we wanted to start with. But when we need to make subs, Bellingham's happy to go and play there then, just to stay on the pitch, isn't he, Gareth? Because that's, you daren't take him off. Like, Mainoo shouldn't have been took off. These things need calling out. We can beat the Dutch and we can have a go in the final. But why is it okay to pick players that aren't playing well? I don't get it. I really don't. Pick your best players. Because you know what? If you did drop Kane or whoever else, and then after an hour, the replacement doesn't do well, you bring that player on, they come on with a different mentality, realising they might need to play well to keep their place. But you know what? It happens in club football and it doesn't happen in international football. Give me your thoughts on that. Also, this is really important to me. This is really important to me. It's a bit niche at the end of the video, but I listened to an interview from Bielsa, the Uruguay manager, formerly of Leeds. Always said to people when Bielsa was at Leeds, and I don't like Leeds, if you want to watch a game of football, just watch Leeds. The way he plays the game, it's just so entertaining. Don't always win. Sometimes they get battered. He said this: in years to come, the number of footballers worth watching will be less and less, and football will become less enjoyable. That should be a statement that goes up with the greats. He's so right. He is so right. We've been talking about this on this channel for a very long time. I would love it to hit the ears of people who listen in the game. Pep Guardiola is a fantastic coach, but he is massively responsible for the degradation of football. It has become systematic. It has become passing between the lines. It has become less individualistic. Football has become too formulaic. You look at the game yesterday. Switzerland's system was copied by Southgate, and it nullified the game. And it nullified the game because Switzerland have a system, and England mirrored it, and they cancelled each other out. Where was the player to pick the ball up and shoot from 40 yards into the top corner? Where was the player to take 3 or 4 players on and try and make things happen? We used to have this. I used to watch the Premier League 20 years ago, and goal of the month would be incredible. You'd have people scoring volleys from 30 yards. You'd have people skipping past 4 or 5 players and dinking it over the goalkeeper. It's rare now. You know, you think about Messi 10 years ago and some of the goals he was scoring for Barcelona. We don't see that anymore. One, because Messi's not there anymore. Ronaldo's not there anymore. But there's no one coming through allowed to do it. Because I tell you what, and look, one moment can symbolise football. Kyle Walker was at right back for Man City last season. In front of him was a slow player. I can't remember who they were playing. It was a slow player, and behind them was 40 yards of space to get in. He could have knocked that ball past him, beaten him easily over 10 yards, and he's in. He sees it, and then his instructions kick in. He turns around and passes it back to the centre-back, who tries to pass through the lines. Football is dying as an entertainment sport because it has become so formulaic. Everybody presses from the front. Everybody plays a high line. Everybody tries to pass between the lines. There is no individualism, and Bielsa is correct. Look, it doesn't mean that we don't get good games, but God, where have all the Cowboys gone? Like, where are all the heroes gone? They've been trained out of it. Messi spoke about this only a few weeks ago. Like, they're stopping 6, 7 and 8-year-olds from playing like he did because you've got to pass between the lines. You've got to get your system right. And it becomes a game of chess. Football becomes a game of chess when it should be a game of Grand Theft Auto. It should be exciting. You should drive through a red light. You know, not in real life, by the way, but this is football. Risk-taking is gone. And I've been talking about this, and we've been talking about this for a number of years. If I was a young footballer now, I would almost be, in my own time, trying to find a way to ignore what I'm being coached. It's being coached out of you. Take people on. We used to play football down the local park. We used to play football at lunchtime at school. We used to play World Cup. You know, one person goes in goal, 8 players would play. Ball gets kicked out. Score a goal, you go through, you wait behind the goal. Last one out. Last one left out. You couldn't pass. You're on your own. Are they doing that sort of stuff anymore? Like, you've got to skip past people. You've got to dribble. You know, and that game's brilliant as well, because if you go and get the ball from 30 yards and no one closes you down, you might just smack it and not have to take anyone on. It's a brilliant game for bringing out individualism. But we're not about that. We're about passing drills. And passing's important, but where's the individuality? You know, it's been trained out of the game. by these amazing coaches who are actually tactician chess players. They're not individualistic players. We need that individualism. And I tell you what, the best way to break a Pep Guardiola system is if you've got a midfielder who picks the ball up in their own half. You know, someone presses them, they go past them. The system's broke because someone's got to come to them, and that means they've got to leave someone. And then you play your pass, and then you get it back, and you're in space. You know, individualistic, taking people on. Please bring it back. It will make the game so much better. Legends, everybody. So much for you to talk about there. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on the video. Clip what you like. Have a great day. Euro semi-finals are Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll have some content for you tomorrow as normal. I'm loving this channel. I'm loving the conversations we're having about football. People don't want to do it. They should be doing it. It disappoints me how we live up the arse of modern football and there is a real problem. And it disappoints me how this is a semi-final. England could win this tournament for the first time in my life and everybody else's life. And we're sat there, the mainstream going, Gareth won't drop Kane. Well, maybe you should demand he drops Kane. You'd do it if it was United. You'd do it if it was Arsenal. But because it's bloody England, we're happy just to get knocked out or rely on luck. Get your best players in the team. Give people a kick up the arse. They'll probably play better. See you later.